we be willing to accept some restrictions on our liberty? Absolutely. But there's been too much travel without diagnosis for us to contain this. And then at that point, we didn't really understand the fatality rate. We didn't understand that it's a fairly low fatality rate and that it's a disease mainly of the elderly, kind of like flu is, although a bit different.
Ladies and gentlemen, the verdict is in. Just as I said, it was all about money. Bill Gates just admitted that he and his foundation, the so-called professionals, were incompetent and they didn't knew anything. That is a big fat lie. They knew all along the data wasn't there, because they even went against science to try to roll out these mass vaccines. They went against science and tried to get the vaccines approved it by getting the politicians to use an emergency act. Now he's trying to pretend that they was just looking out to help the people, and they had to do something as fast as possible because they knew nothing of what was going on. It never happened before. Once again, you can see these people are very fraudulent. They're not nice people, Bill Clinton and his foundation and these people and the mass media, all of these people, the politicians, they are corrupt. They are very corrupt. They knew all along what was going on. They want to roll out mass vaccinations so that they can profit. And now the money is in the bank. They pretending now all along. They didn't know what was going on. They were incompetent. The data was there, but they choose to ignore it. They choose to silence people so that they can get the way. He just admitted as well too, there was no need to close the schools. There was no need to close businesses because it was just a virus like the flu. Only affect elderly. And now the data is in. The people that only died of COVID-19 was people over 82 and over. That's the data. That's not me making up these figures. But he just said elderly. 82. How long is your lifespan? If you reach 82, you had a good life. But now Bill Gates now pretending now, this interview he done here with this guy from CNN, I forgot his name. All of that now is edit. You understand? Bill Gates already got the questions and know how he should answer them because they forward the questions to these people. And he already sit down and work out how he's going to answer these questions. But he's not no nice person, Bill Gates. You see, these people are evil. How much more money does these people need? He went against the advice of the professionals. He went against the virologists. All of these professionals, doctors, nurses that asked to see the data to approve the vaccines, they silenced them. They banned them from Twitter. They banned them from Facebook. They banned them from YouTube. So that data and their voices be suppressed. A lot of these people lose their jobs from a lot of top universities as well. These professors. They was right all along, saying that there's no need to lock down, there's no need to close the business. Let's focus on the elderly because the COVID-19 is a flu vaccine virus. It shouldn't be that dangerous. And if it is that dangerous, let's start to vaccine the elderly. Don't need to shut business. Don't need to shut schools. Because if it's a pandemic, you cannot contain it. But it wasn't a pandemic. These people manufactured it. They invented this to happen. And the thing about it, now he pretending that he are innocent. He and his foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and his so-called professionals, because nobody get to talk to these people that he hired. He's the spokesperson. You don't know which professionals, what qualifications the people that work in this foundation with vaccine have. You don't know nothing about these people. Yet, you're supposed to believe Bill Gates. He invests in the media. He invests in the pharmaceutical companies. He invests in Zoom and all of these businesses. Profit during the pandemic. He increases wealth by 31% during the pandemic. All of these professors as well, they was banned from the mainstream media. The mainstream media would not touch them. They asked to try to get their voice out. CNN, BBC, Sky, Fox, they ignored these voices that was going against the lockdowns and mass vaccinations. They told them that go and pound sand. A lot of these people lose their job as well. The media is so corrupt. The media now, this should be a scandal, a big scandal. But it's not going to happen because Bill Gates and his foundation, this is from the Grey Zone. They do a lot of good reporting at the Grey Zone, so you can check out the Grey Zone. They donate 360 million. This is the money that is accounted for to the mass media so that Bill Gates can push this Bill Gates Foundation, the Gates Foundation. Foundations, he got a lot. He donated 360 million to these people. Somehow they're not gonna. This money is not gonna affect their judgment. It won't affect. It won't have a conflict of interest for these people. It's just corruption, and it's corruption being legalized and normalized by the media and politicians. They told us to follow the science. Yet they didn't follow no science whatsoever. They did nothing because they had an agenda and tried to roll out these vaccines as fast as possible because you know the government doesn't default. Governments don't default. If the government owes you money, you can put it in bonds. Get the money 10 years down the road. It doesn't matter. The governments always pay. They choose to ignore all the evidence, all the data, because they wanted mass vaccinations so all the people involved can profit. It's racketeering. Now, the biggest question I got now, the $1 million question, is all of these deaths that was getting reported on the COVID, the high numbers in England, the high numbers in America, the high numbers in England, and I mean Italy, France. All of these high numbers and people supposed to be dying from COVID. Was this fake news? It would have to be fake news. Because all of these things, all of these people that die on the COVID 2020 and 21, the cause of death have been changed it to COVID related. They changed it from death of COVID to COVID related after. Just a slip of sleight of hand. Again, this should be a scandal, but the mass media is not going to touch it because these people are involved as well. Everybody profit in these times. The media pays a lot of money to promote Bill Gates' global vaccination agenda. That's what he's about. And when you see Bill Gates on doing interviews, it is just to promote Bill Gates. Bill Gates only care about Bill Gates. He don't care about you. He don't care about your health. He invests in these companies, with these vaccine companies, so he can profit. Not because he want to help the world or the population. He have enough money that he can help a whole 4 or 5 poor nations. Get them to rise up from poverty, but he won't do it because they are not interested in helping people. It's just fiction. All of these people are fraudulent. This affect me when I see that. It really affect me because I know deep down inside from early on not to trust your government. Do not trust your government. Your government do not look out for you. And when they're rolling out these vast vaccines, and they try to force it onto you, you should know to resist. Because now the data is out, the vaccines wasn't effective of stopping COVID or helping you from catching COVID. The vaccine was basically BS. The data proved that only about 2% or so the vaccines was effective. That's just ridiculous. And then the media can just pretend and like nothing happened. And we move on. Like we move on to the next crisis. Anyhow, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Because messages like this what I'm saying, and videos like these is not going to be promoted on the mainstream media and YouTube. Because they want to keep us stupid. They want us to be servants. So it's time we wake up and see what's going on. Because The world is full of corruption. You can't trust nobody, not even your government. Anyhow, take care and stay safe, and I can see you another time. Bye.
We be willing to accept some restrictions on our liberty? Absolutely. But there's been too much travel without diagnosis for us to contain this. And then at that point, we didn't really understand the fatality rate. We didn't understand that it's a fairly low fatality rate and that it's a disease mainly of the elderly, kind of like flu is, although a bit